Hi, my name is Sam Hernandez, and I'm a playwright, artist, and costume designer from Dallas, Texas. I just graduated from Northwestern University this past spring with a major in theater and a minor in art theory and practice. Becoming a playwright is a relatively recent decision for me. I started as an actor in high school, and then I became a stage manager before transitioning to costume design in college. And I actually only started taking playwriting classes as a way to fulfill my performance credits. But after my first class, I was completely hooked and kept writing for all 4 years just as a fun little side quest. And it wasn't until I won the Agnes Dixon Playwriting Award the winter of my senior year and got to workshop my first full-length play with a cast and a director and a dramaturg that I realized what I really wanted to do was become a playwright. I am so thrilled and honored that my first full-length play, How to Rob the Art Institute of Chicago, is a part of this year's Voices of Women Festival. This play is a comedy about Latina identity, grief, chosen family, colonialism. It explores how society and its institutions influence how we think about ourselves and our identities and what it means to reclaim our identity and our power even when it feels hopeless and impossible. In a time when we see women's voices and people of color's voices being silenced, it is more important now than ever to showcase those voices because art is hope and it is a light in dark times, and art is where we find the strength to keep fighting for what's right. I'm so excited to be a part of this year's festival, and I hope to see you all there.
My play being featured in the Voices of Women Festival is The Tragic Ecstasy of Girlhood, which follows a group of girls living in a group home together. And in the aftermath of losing one of their housemates, the girls are just trying to make sense of their lives and piece back together what they can to move on. The play has so much joy in it as these young women create chosen family amongst each other, and they're teenagers, so they're messy, they're fun, they're silly. They use laughter to get through some of the hardest moments. And this piece is so special to me because it really is kind of like a love letter to those spaces that I've been a part of, as well as my own mental health journey. This play very much talks about mental health in a way that I hope connects to others that have been through these experiences, and make it to the other side in community with chosen family, that we heal together, and that the more that we can be raw, messy, completely vulnerable with the people that are right there in front of us, that we might just get through the hardest points of our life. So The Tragic Ecstasy of Girlhood is just a celebration of young women who have been through some things and get through some things together, and they have so much of a hope and future in their lives, and nobody can take that from them. They have their agency, even if they're in the midst of this kind of structure or organization that fails them a lot. So yeah, that's The Tragic Ecstasy of Girlhood. I'm so honored to be a part of the Voices of Women Festival, a festival that is bringing together artists to uplift these stories about women, and that we are getting to hold space for all of our different experiences, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be identifying as a female, and how we are getting to bring all of these artists together to uplift each of these stories and take time and space to really hear, to really listen, to really share space for these stories that often feel like they're pushed aside, that they're not believed, that we're over dramatic, those sorts of things. But taking a weekend to truly just center women's voices, I think we need that hope, we need that sense of camaraderie, we need that sense of being together, and almost like back ancient times, sitting around the fire and being able to share our stories and receive other people's stories, so we know that we're not alone in this experience that can feel so isolating and powerless. So I hope that this is a weekend that audiences of all genders feel empowered, they feel heard, they feel seen, they see themselves represented in a character, in a scene, So I'm so honored to be a part of this festival that is centering women's voices, and I can't wait for audiences to come to experience this and receive that sort of offering of being seen and known as well.
Hi, I'm Ashley Burgess Laster. I didn't set out to be a playwright. Writing kind of found me. I've always been someone who notices what's happening in rooms, especially the things people laugh off or don't say out loud. Writing became a way for me to finally give a voice to those moments. Playwriting lets me mix humor with honesty and say the quiet parts out loud without apologizing for them. Black Barbie takes place in a modern workplace where everyone thinks they're progressive and they're probably not. The story centers on a Black woman who realizes she's the only one not invited to some of the company events. It sounds small, but that's where the tension lives. The play explores how racism often shows up as a joke, it shows up in silence, and it mostly shows up in exclusion rather than anything overt. It's funny, it's uncomfortable, but it's very familiar, especially if you've ever been told you were reading into things too much. A festival like Voices of Women matters because women, especially women of color, are constantly asked to soften their stories. Right now, it's important to have spaces where women don't have to shrink themselves. They don't have to explain or translate or dilute their truth. When women's voices are centered, we get stories that are honest, layered, and absolutely necessary. And that's exactly what this moment calls for. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you at the Voices of Women Theater Festival.
Hello, my name is Jessica Burchfield, and I am the playwright for the short play Love, Lost Rings, and What We Wore. I'm actually really excited for you to see this play. I like to say that it was kind of loosely based on my sister-in-law's wedding, but it honestly has been living in my head for years, and it's kind of a conglomeration of a bunch of ideas that I had from random weddings. I'm also a wedding photographer, so I see a lot of weddings and a lot of things that can go wrong, and I wanted to throw them all into a short play. It's very farcical, it's funny, it's full of love and family, and I know you're going to love it. I think it's really important that we support this Playwright Festival and this Play Festival because it is a time when we should highlight the voices of women. It is so important for us as women to say what we think and to say what we believe. I'm a teacher sitting here in my classroom, and I always tell my students that if you don't speak up, there will be an absence of something that should be said. So come see the shows. It's going to be a great weekend. Powerstories, Voices of Women Festival this coming March. And I hope you enjoy my play, Love, Lost Rings, and What We Wore.
Hi, my name is Charlene Dorsey, and I was born and raised right here in this beautiful city of Tampa, Florida. Becoming a playwright, it's something that I never thought could actually ever happen. And yet here I am, and it's been years in the making. As a young girl, I always dreamed of writing plays, producing them, directing them, and seeing them come to life on stage. But like many creatives, I was encouraged to choose what felt more practical, more stable, and of course, I quietly put my dreams aside. Writing What About Ruth and submitting it to this festival was one of the most freeing things that I have ever done. It felt like reclaiming a part of myself that I had left behind. This play offers a fresh perspective on the biblical story of Ruth. We hear so much about wanting a Boaz, but rarely do we stop and ask, what did Ruth go through? What was she thinking? What was she carrying? This play gives her a voice. The Voices of Women Theater Festival matters to me because it creates space for women to tell their stories boldly and honestly. In the world that we're living in right now, that isn't just important, it's necessary. And I'm so honored to be a part of it.
Hello, my name is Alaina Rahaim, and I'm a Tampa-based actor and playwright.
I've loved theater all my life. I started taking improv classes when I was 5 years old, and I've pursued acting and writing ever since. It brings me so much joy to make people smile and make people laugh, and that's exactly what my play Zeus Gets Cancelled is setting out to do. I'm so honored to be a part of the Voices of Women Festival this March with Powerstories, because now more than ever, it's so important that we empower and support women. Zeus, the king of the gods, like many powerful men today, takes away women's rights. And in my short play, he is the host of his late night talk show, Zeus on the Loose. And it's up to you, the audience, to decide whether or not he should be canceled. I hope to see you there.
Hello, my name is Shelli Pentimall Bookler. I am the playwright of All My Mothers, which will be featured in Powerstories Theater's Voices of Women. I was thrilled to see a call for female playwrights. I think our voices are so important, especially right now in this world of chaos that we are experiencing. I think that we have a very specific point of view and a really important perspective that needs to be heard right now. All My Mothers is about a young woman who's adopted, and she's trying to navigate relationships between her birth mother, her adopted mother, and her mother-in-law. There is a lot of humor and also a nice drama as well, as she tries to find connection and community and also identity and understanding. So I hope that you're able to attend. I would love to see you there. And I thank Powerstories for giving us the opportunity to have our voices heard.